Well, that was quite a chaotic teamless Tuesday. I feel like we haven't had one that crazy in a while. Like they've been pretty tame, what we expected, but I think Yeo and Cleary both being out was quite unexpected. I'm not sure if any news dropped today. I didn't get a chance to check at work, and I don't really check before Tuesday anyway because it doesn't really matter. But yeah, they're both out after getting somewhat rested last week, so that was a bit surprising. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about Teamless Tuesday too much, but I will talk about my trades a little bit. This video is going to be sort of about team construction. I've got a little bit of a document going. It's not as detailed as I would have liked, but it's still somewhat detailed. We'll get into that in a sec, but I'll go over my trades a little bit. So I was pretty locked in. I've been locked into these ones for a couple of weeks now. The only difference is Crichton over Tino, just because I love Tino, but I do need an edge with Dylan Lucas going out, and I think I've got too many mids. Not too many mids, because obviously they're the best position, but yeah, I think I do need a bit of edge coverage, and I do like Crichton as an option, but I would probably prefer Tino if they were the same position, but it's fine. Like I'm fine with that. But yeah, those plans will obviously change. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get Herbie now because, yeah, like there's a chance I get him in this week now anyway, even with a bye next week. So it would have made a lot more sense in this context. But yeah, I didn't expect Cleary and Yeo to be out by any stretch of the imagination this week. So yeah, don't really know what I'm going to do. It is kind of good. So Brayley is back to lock this week, and I don't know, like the bench is kind of confusing. I only had a brief look, like I'm sort of doing this on the fly, but yeah, like Tyson Gamble's on the bench. I wouldn't expect him to cover cover hooker, for Brayley, but I would expect maybe Frizzell comes on for Crossland, effectively comes on for Brayley, and then Crossland moves to hooker, and then Crossland to hooker, and then Frizzell at lock. So yeah, I don't expect Brayley, or I don't anticipate him playing 80, but if he's starting, that's good. I think if he plays 55 to 60 minutes, I'm more than happy to keep him this week, depending on what his break even is. But yeah, I do need a little bit of cash generation. I'm hoping to get, without these trades, assuming these trades were locked in, if Yeo and Cleary were playing, my only other two trades were going to be Tallis Duncan to Herbie after round 21, after the bye, and then Adam Dewey down to hopefully Dylan Edwards, but I can't really afford it without any more cash generation. So having another week of Brayley, who potentially has a low break even, and then Latu Fainu potentially, if he has a low break even, if they both make an extra 20k or something each, it gets me a lot closer to that goal of having Dylan Edwards as my 18th man. So I'm thinking, do I go early this week and potentially get Dylan Edwards in if he's the guy I'm set on? I don't know, because I don't know if I can make the money work still. Like if Latu Fainu or Brayley come out and score a 20, then that plan is ripped to shreds kind of. And I kind of want to keep Adam Dewey a little bit longer now. Like he could easily become my 19th man. So yeah, do I even need Edwards? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm definitely getting Latrell. I'm definitely getting Crichton. I think I'm getting Crichton. I'm thinking maybe I forego Yeo in favour of Tino. And then, yeah, I can hopefully I can go Duncan straight up to Herbie. It would leave me with about 165k, and I need 202 currently. Then hoping I can make that with either Brayley or Latu Fainu. And Tallis Duncan does have a low break even, but he's also named at centre. And I wish Herbie played after Tallis Duncan, because that would make it so much easier knowing if I want to actually trade Tallis Duncan or not. What are we doing here? Why is he centre over Ewan Aitken? Tallis Duncan was your best player for the last 3 weeks, and he was good at centre. Oh, not really, like he scored 2 tries, but apart from that, he didn't do anything. So why is he centre? Like Ewan Aitken's played there so much more, and I do kind of expect that to change, but also why would you name it like that if you're just going to change it anyway? Like we see it all the time, but it just doesn't make sense. Like who are you tricking by doing this? So I don't know. Like I would expect it to run out like this, but I am holding out hope. Tallis Duncan is in the second row, even if they're still named like this, and then in game we actually see it switched. I don't know. It's crazy to have Tallis Duncan at centre. I don't know what Wayne's Bennett doing. He's lost the plot. But yeah, Cook is definitely coming out. Dylan Lucas definitely coming out, obviously. And then I just need to decide between Brayley, Latu Fainu, or Tallis Duncan, or just leave it at 2 trades. Like it does work out perfectly for my team. Like obviously, Cleary is, before this round, he was 75% owned, probably 80% because he was picked up by 4.6%. And then Yeo isn't owned at all, but he was picked up by 20.7%. So in that scheme of things, it does work out perfectly for me, and I'm not mad about that at all. Like, I was very stoked to see them both not named at all, and it's good they're not on the extended bench, so then I wouldn't have had to make a judgment call. So they're just out, which is perfect. And yeah, I do have guys I'm not necessarily that eager to trade. Like, I would have been rushing them out, but I've said it a few times, I'm happy to get rid of guys a little bit earlier, even though they do have cash generation, and it has worked out for my team. But I have 900k sitting there, so I did want to use the money. I was hoping to get Cleary in last week, but then on the bench, I didn't want it. And yeah, so I've had 900k sitting there for 2 weeks, and I've got 838k or something left at the moment. And not getting Cleary or Yeo does minimize the value of me having all that money sitting there, because it's another week later. So yeah, it is good news, absolutely, but it's a little bit annoying in the sense that I was willing to, like, I had the money saved to make those trades and I haven't used it. So then do I just get Herbie in, or do I get Tino in? I'm not sure. It's all up for debate. I have a strong, so let's just say I reverse 2 of those trades. I mean, at the moment, Drinkwater's not even playing for me. So yeah, I mean, he comes in for one of those. I don't know, like, it's okay if I can get away with it with 2, but I'd ideally like to make 3. I'm also kind of thinking Isaiah Cartola, but that sort of screws my plans. Like, I could get him instead of Yeo, but I do expect Yeo to comfortably outscore him for the rest of the season. Tino probably scores around the same as Cartola, doesn't have the bye. And yeah, there's no one else really that I'm missing. Like, Preston I'd love to have, but I'd rather have Crichton than him at this stage, I think, just to make the money work. Like, this is comparing anyone to Yeo, not Crichton. So, like, I'd much rather have Yeo than Preston at this moment, I'd say. And there's no other premiums that I'm really missing. So, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who else to get him unless it is Tino instead of Yeo. And if they're resting those, like, the Panthers guys in this round, are they going to do it again? Like, they're 6th, so they're not comfortable, but you never know. Like, in the last round, if they're a game, like, if they can't move up or down, then maybe they get another rest. So, but I mean, I guess that could be applied to most finals teams. So, I don't know, like, the Titans are 17th, so does Tino play every week as well, especially having that injury, the sternum injury, I think it is, or whatever. So, I don't know. I think I would like Yeo, but him effectively having a bye this week does change things a little bit. But I do think he's quite comfortably the best mid on the board and probably the best premium on the board, apart from Herbie, who I plan to get after the bye anyway. So, yeah, I might have to just get Herbie this week. I can cover him next week because I'll have 18 or 19 keepers by then anyway, probably 19 if I get him this week anyway. So, yeah, like, maybe I do just get Herbie. He's up against the Cowboys, which is a pretty light matchup. So do I just get him in and then not play him next week? But I was kind of excited for next week when everyone has him and he's on a bye, and then I have a slight advantage there. So I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't know. I just want to use my money. But also, if I get Herbie, then I might have to, like, I don't know if I can still afford Yeo. I can definitely afford Cleary, but I don't know if I can make all the trades I want to next week. So we'll see. But Adam Dewey is also at lock, so that's awesome. And I do kind of want to keep him as my 19th man now instead of Dylan Edwards, which I think I can, but maybe not. But yeah, at 13, I don't know if he plays there the whole game, but he's at 13 and is effectively half in attack. So kind of the best of both worlds. He goal kicks. He probably makes, I don't think he's like a massive tackler. He was roaming in there, and I think he only got up to 18 tackles or so. I think maybe he had 10 in that 30-minute period. So yeah, he might make 30 tackles, should still run the ball a fair bit. I don't know how his kick meters are. I'd say maybe 100 to 150, but has the goal kicking as well. So yeah, lock in defense and half in attack is a pretty good recipe for success, if you ask me. He is kind of injury prone, so there's always that risk, but I'm just going to ride the wave while I can, and I'm happy to play him this week as well. So that also offsets me needing anyone else, like forcing that third trade, I guess, this week, because I wasn't going to play him. More than likely, I'm going to loop him and Drinkwater, but yeah, I won't have that luxury anymore. And I can't imagine Jed Stewart, he'd have to score like a 50 plus in order for me to play him. So that's unlikely as well. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll get another video out talking in depth, even whether I plan them more or not, just roaming. But that's not the point of this video. I just sort of wanted to discuss my thoughts on the fly. And you guys mentioned that you like that. But yeah, we'll get into the main part of the video. Yeah, it's somewhat in depth, but it's not crazy. it's mainly about like the construction of your end of season team, like how many keepers is the right number. I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago, I can't remember which one, but I mentioned that I kind of like having red dot or non-playing reserve cash downs as opposed to getting the best on the board. Like Talon De Silva was the most picked up cash down last week. Same as Fletcher Hunt was pretty popular and is quite popular again this week. And yeah, like I think they'll score the best, but I do like having guys that aren't playing as loop options. And it was sort of a throwaway comment, but a few of you guys were sort of interested in the thoughts there. So I've included that in this, and then just some pros and cons of having 17, 18, 19 keepers, and then sort of roughly how many trades I think is a decent number at this stage, or by the time you have your final team, I guess. In terms of non-playing reserves, I don't necessarily have one. I have Ethan King, who is 18th man every week, so not ideal. Like I can't use him as a loop in case he comes on, which is unlikely, but he could easily come on and score a 5 if he's coming on for like a concussion that was high contact or something. So yeah, I never want to loop with those guys. So I don't necessarily have one myself, but in a perfect world, I would like to have one. Yeah, Jed Stewart's obviously not a good cash down in terms of cash generation, scoring potential. So yeah, they obviously played their part. I got them in when I did 4-point upside and yeah, like positional basis I needed them for. So they did their part for me, but in terms of my final team, they're not the ideal cash downs I would have liked. But yeah, we'll get into that anyway. So I sort of outlaid all my trades I've done for the year. I mean, you can find this on NRL Fantasy, like on the app, on the site, sorry. Like you can just go down here if you aren't aware. Oh, yeah, just down here, and it shows you all your history. You can look on footy statistics in your team analyzer as well. But yeah, I put it in a table form. ChatGPT helped me out, so I didn't have to format this myself. But I sort of did, but yeah, it just helped me anyway. But yeah, so I've outlaid all my trades. The guys in blue are keepers that I bought in that are currently in my team for my end of season team. That will become important soon. The guys in yellow are trades I've had to make for injuries. So I kind of wanted to do this to highlight my team's perspective. I obviously could have found like 5-10 different teams and just used them, but I think it makes more sense. It's more practical to use my own. Also, Team Analyzer on footy statistics is like 3 weeks behind at the moment, so that sort of rubbed that out. But yeah, I think it's worth noting. So what should I get into first? I don't know. My final 17 costs, so all these 17 guys that I bought in will effectively, and sorry, this is including the round 20 trades that I plan to make because, yeah, I mean, I did this before team lists were announced, but also they are going to come into my team at this price point anyway, so it doesn't actually change things. So yeah, those final 17 that I brought in cost 12.2 million, and my current team value is 14.14 million. I don't know what the average is. Like this is obviously a week behind. It's 14.18. I think it would have gone up a little bit after last round. Mine did, but honestly, they've been going down the last couple of weeks. So I expect it to stay around that roughly, and that's for the top 1,000. So not everyone's in the top 1,000, but I think my team value is a bit lower than where I'm currently ranked. Like if I had to guesstimate, like it's about 50K below this, let's say. But there's teams with like 14.7, 14.4, like there's heaps above me. Yeah, my main focus hasn't been on cash generation for the year. So yeah, I'd expect mine to be slightly below average, but that's my team. So with the final 17 and the 2 cash downs, it costs 12.67 million. And that's for my 17. So I obviously am playing, that's for my 19 effectively with 2 cash downs, but I want to run an 18th and 19th man ideally, just seeing if it's feasible. The cost of my current 18th and 19th man, so Tallis Duncan and Adam Dewey, plus my 57K in the bank or whatever it is, that's 1.3 million. And my keeper's overall increase in value so far is 114K. So these 17 guys have only netted me 114K in positive value, and Terrell May has made like 280K. So apart from that, I've lost like 170K bringing in these guys, which is why my team value is a little bit lower. Yeah, so I got 1.3 million effectively to use for my 18th and 19th man. But I also went Herbie in there, so he's 900, close to 900k. So it sort of leaves me with about 500k behind for that. So I think the purpose of this, like, it doesn't mean much in general, but I think the purpose is identifying how much my final 17 is going to cost me to effectively work out if it's feasible to play an 18th and 19th man, or should I just get up to the best 17 premiums? And in my case, I have enough to get at least an 18th man, because I could get anyone in the game and also the lowest of the cash downs, or even someone about 350k, and still easily run an 18-man squad. But I can get an underpriced keeper as my 19th man as well, and get Herbie, and then still be fine. So yeah, in my case, it makes sense for me to run 19 players, I think. But I think it's just worth like looking at your team. You don't have to do it like this or anything like that. It doesn't take long to work out how much your final 17 costs, but I think it is worth noting, because a lot of guys that I've seen out there, there's so many players that are either like not keepers or like mid-ranges. Like, they have so many. Like, looking at Jamie's team, for example, and this isn't bad. Like, he's ranked almost the same as me and has the same amount of trades, I think. But just looking at his team construction is so much different to mine. I don't even know what his team name is. What is it? JBFA Jamie, I think. Let's have a look. But the point of showing Jamie's is because I think he's like one of the biggest creators in the game, but he's also like 100 points different, 100 ranks different to me or something. And it's like, so I think showing a team that is the same rank, the same amount of trades, mostly the same of everything, and showing how different it is compared to my team, I think that's worth noting. It's going to be 3 weeks behind, isn't it? That's so annoying. Bear with me. I'll be back in 1 sec. Okay, yeah, I found his team a different way. So I hope he wouldn't mind me doing this, right? Like, I'm sure he's never going to see this video. Obviously, I'm a small fish, but yeah, like, obviously he makes his team public, so I'm hoping he wouldn't mind it. Apologies. Reach out to me, Jamie, if you don't want me doing this in the future. It's probably a one-off thing anyway. But yeah, the idea is he's 22 points behind me. I think he's got the same amount of trades, or maybe I have one more, but our team value is also the same, like 14.18, 14.147 for me. So he's got me beat there, even though he's slightly worse in points. But you've seen my team, right? Like, after my 4 trades, I essentially only have Tallis Duncan and Adam Dewey as my only non-keepers or cash downs. Whereas Jamie, he doesn't have any cash downs at the moment. And in my eyes, he's got quite a few that aren't keepers. So he's got Dylan Lucas, he'll have to trade. Nafahu White. Garrick, in my eyes, isn't a keeper. Nwangani Tawase isn't. Tommy Turbo. Savala now, because he's injured and probably wasn't a keeper. Hosking, I don't view as a keeper. Latu and King Tonga. So that's 9 guys. And yeah, mine is technically 4 trades more in advance, because I'm trading out 4 guys this week. But he has 9 guys that I don't view as keepers or not worthwhile, but that I wouldn't view as end of season guys. But we're the same ranked, where this got the same amount of trades, the same team value. So it just shows you can do it in so many ways. So when I showed the way I do things, it's definitely not the only right way, or even the right way. There's so many ways you can play fantasy. And yeah, he's got a ton of guys who were underpriced keepers or very fringe keepers. Like, he's got Nafahu White, Nwangani Tawase, Garrick, Tommy Turbo, I guess Hosking as well. Like, they're very fringe guys. And my mindset is just getting to those set in stone, like, ranking system, I guess, like either like a keeper or status, I guess. Keeper, premiums, or cash down is all I try and get to. And that's why I don't view someone like Tallis Duncan, who's performing close to keeper level, as a keeper, because he's not quite a keeper on my level, just because he's going to play games in center. He doesn't have the track record. But yeah, you can see in Jamie's team, he's got heaps of those guys and is doing just as well. So yeah, there's no right or wrong way. So I just wanted to briefly highlight that as I'm showing my team, because yeah, like, it's just an example. Like, you don't have to follow this, but I think in my circumstance, it makes sense to have an 18th, 19th man. Whereas Jamie, he could easily run like a 19, 20, 21 man rotation without having any cash downs and just be as feasible, because that's the way he's constructed his team, and everyone has a different team construction. And yeah, I'm obviously not the best in fantasy. Like I'm ranked 800th or something, and I've just climbed up to those ranks. So yeah, there's so many ways you can do it. You just got to do it your own way. And sort of the point of this video, I guess, is to assess where your team's at currently and which option will be best for you in the future. So yeah, this year I've used 13 out of 34 trades, I believe, on injuries alone. So some of them were short-term injuries that I didn't have to trade, but they were injuries. And like short-term injuries are going to probably be trade outs at this point of the season. Like even if you have guys missing for 1 or 2 weeks, potentially 3, or especially 3, but yeah, they're probably going to have to turn into trades. So at 0.65 a round, that's a projected 4.5 injuries remaining. Obviously, there's more factors, like there's more injuries later, like in the later rounds, as opposed to early season. So you could probably expect that to round up to closer to 1 a round. But also, there's only like 17 to 19 keepers in your squad where injuries will actually matter. Like if Jed Stewart gets injured for me, I don't care. Like I hope he's okay, but it doesn't affect my team at all. Whereas earlier in the season, you probably had a 21-man squad where any injury was going to affect you, so you'd have to force a trade for that. So yeah, overall, it probably rounds out to be about 0.6. So you're going to need 4.5 trades just for injuries. And in my team, currently I only have 7 trades, and I'm planning on using another 2 to get to my final squad. So like, yeah, it's my final squad, but like chances are I'm going to have to use like 4 to 5 of those on injuries, and I only have 5 remaining. So yeah, like is my team the best setup for injuries? No, but I'll have 19 keepers, or very close to keepers at least, that I'll be set up where if I do have a short-term injury, I'll be okay, like managing it for 1 or 2 weeks. Like it's effectively like a buy or something. So yeah, don't really know what the point of that was. Hopefully it made sense, but yeah, I just wanted to point out that like how many how many trades you should expect to use on injuries coming into the end of the season, and like what my team looks like to be set up for that. And it's probably worthwhile checking what your team is like for that and which construction is going to be better. Then it leads us on to like 17, 18 or 19 keepers. Sorry, the structure of this video isn't great, but hopefully you enjoyed anyway. Yeah, so it leads us on to if you should have 17, 18 or 19 keepers in your team. So yeah, this one's up for debate. There's no real answer. Like it's hard in a 21-man squad because obviously we used to have 25 and you could manage your team so much more effectively, but it is a little bit harder now to get to that 19 point. But yeah, you'll have to make sacrifices here and there for whichever strategy you go with. So just some considerations before we get into which option is right for you, I guess, or like where your team's currently at. How many trades you have left. So yeah, obviously if we're factoring in these sort of injuries, it is worthwhile noting how many trades you have left. How many, and yeah, they'll be affected differently based on which of the 3 options you go with. So I won't get into it much now, but how many players with buys remaining do you have? So that's a big factor, right? So if you have a guy on a buy every week, even if you have an 18-man squad, you effectively have a 17-man squad, right? Like 17 keeper squad, sorry. In terms of my team, I'm pretty sweet, like for buys. So this week I've got Haas out, which is light. That's fine. Like I'm well set up for that. Next week, at this stage, I don't have anyone. I might have Herbie, but he's very popular. Him and Katoa, they're both popular. So chances are you'll have at least 1, maybe 2. The Knights, I think most of us should be fine now because we don't have Dylan Lucas or Fletcher Sharp. But, and sorry, I don't know why this keeps popping up. I am engaged already, so don't lead anything into that. But yeah, like some people have KPP. No one has Ponga, obviously, now. Maybe Bradman Best's a consideration, but yeah, I'm fine for that one. For the West Tigers, Latu Fainu and Adam Dewey and Terrell May, but I'm probably not going to have the first 2, like Latu or Adam Dewey, by then, so that's fine. Like it's just Terrell May. Round 25, Raiders, so yeah, that's Joseph Tapane, and that's it, I think. But players like Jamal Fogarty, Hosking, that's a consideration. Sharks, don't have anyone, but Nico Hines, Adam Fanua-Blake. Round 26, Rabbitohs, that's probably where it gets tough if I do have Tallis Duncan. So I'll have Tallis Duncan and Latrell, and chances are I'll have 1 or 2 injuries by then, so that gets a little bit tough. and Kalamatangi, sorry, as well. So that's actually very tough. So that probably leads me to believe I should trade Talis Duncan. And then round 27, the Cowboys, where I don't have anyone. So yeah, like I'm pretty well set up apart from round 26 for buys, but I also don't have like a Herbie or Katoa, and there's other guys that are quite popular that I don't have. So yeah, I think it's worth noting how many players you have, and that will lead into which strategy you should run with. Because if you have one out every week, you probably can't run a 17 keeper squad without running someone who's going to score a 30, 40. So it makes it tough. How many premiums or must-haves do you need? So if you don't have like, or I guess you know who the premiums are by now anyway. Yeah, like how many extra of them do you need at the moment? Because if you don't have like Haas, Cleary, Herbie, like if you don't have at least two of those guys probably, then you probably need to run a 17-man squad unless you have like $1 million in the bank. But if you don't have a feasible way to get there, chances are you're going to have to run a 17-man squad over an 18 or 19-man because you probably can't get to them and have the squad depth if you have like a low team value or you don't have a lot of them already. Because none of them are really underpriced at the moment for your premiums. You have Jaden Campbell, but that's about it. How many underpriced keepers or premiums don't you have? Yeah, underpriced, sorry. Yeah, so there is a few of like the underpriced keepers on the board, but not so many premiums. I think it's only Jaden Campbell at the moment who's underpriced. But there's guys like Tino, Crichton, Drinkwater, if you consider him. There's probably heaps more that I'm not thinking of at the moment. But yeah, if you don't have a lot of them, your team value is going to... Sorry, it's kind of ideal if you don't have them at the moment and you want them because you can make those sacrifices. Like chances are if you don't have the underpriced guys, you've got the premiums. So you can afford to get these guys at a nice price. Like Jaden Campbell, for instance, what did I pay for him for the third time? Where is it? Where did I bring him in? This is terrible. 740k. And what is he now? Like crazy low, isn't he? Crazy low. Oh, he's in my team. 627k. So you're going to get him at like 120k cheaper than the 60% of us who got him in whatever round that was. And that means your overall team value is going to be a lot stronger and it's going to be a cheaper number to get to this cost. And I guess this cost as well. So I obviously paid 700k for Drinkwater, but you can pay 500k for him right now. So you can get the same team, but at a lot cheaper price if you haven't got a few of these guys already. And like I haven't got I already do have Jaden Campbell and Drinkwater. So, and I paid 100, 200k extra for them. So yeah, if you can get the same team, but for a lot cheaper, then you can easily get up to an 18, 19-man squad. Like I can get close to a 19-man squad, keeper squad. And I paid overs for these guys. So, yeah, if you don't have a lot of them, then chances are you're in a really good spot, assuming you want them as well. And you probably should definitely want them, especially Jaden Campbell. Maybe not Drinkwater because he's so touch and go, but I do still view him as a keeper. And are your reserves adequate to cover in the event of buys or short-term injury suspension? So this probably isn't keepers, but guys like Latu Fainu, King Tongias, like they're not cash downs. They're not really I guess Latu's a cash cow at the moment, but King Tongi is not really making that much cash generation. And are you comfortable playing him if like he's what 370k or something like that? He's probably not worth going down to a cash down unless that money helps you out. So he's probably going to be stuck in your team for the most part. Like he's a luxury trading him out at the moment. But are you comfortable playing him if someone like Cleary is rested this week? And you probably don't have your final team this week, but if he's rested in round 24 or like a half has a bye, are you going to be comfortable playing King Tongia? And if not, then you probably need an 18 or 19-man squad. Someone like a Tommy Turbo, Dylan Edwards, Reece Walsh, they're not keepers and they are pretty low in price, but they're borderline keepers, I guess. I do view Dylan Edwards as a keeper. Probably Reece Walsh, probably not Turbo because chances are he will get injured or not perform every week. But yeah, guys like that, you're probably comfortable at least looping into your team or even playing in the event you have a few injuries. So if your cover's more towards those underpriced fringe keepers as opposed to just guys who you're pretty sure are going to score 25, 30 every week, then you probably can run a 17-man keeper squad. But otherwise, you probably have to look at going a little bit extra with the 18 or 19 man squad. Yeah, that's about it for that one. We'll get into each example now. I'll scroll down a little bit there. So yeah, for 17 keepers, I'm not going to blow anyone away here with what I've presented, but hopefully it's a little bit of value. Yeah, the pros, you can get a stronger 17 with more premiums because you're using most of your money on your 17, and you can have like roaming mid-ranges for your 18 to 21. So yeah, you can just target exactly who you want. So you can get all your premiums you want, essentially. Like I'm missing out on 2 or 3, I think, that I would ideally like to have. So I'm making a sacrifice of getting Angus Crichton over a Jacob Preston. But yeah, if you're only running 17 keepers, you should absolutely be able to get up to Preston. And that's just an example. But yeah, like a Latrell over, I don't know, a Reece Walsh or whoever's 100k cheaper, like you should be able to get to a premium, and all the premiums essentially. Maybe miss one, but yeah, all of them, hopefully. And then, yeah, you can have roaming mid-ranges from 18 to 21 to increase cash generation or team value. So guys, like I mentioned, like Reece Walsh, Dylan Edwards, even guys cheaper than that, like around the 350, 400k mark. Can't think of any on the top of my head, but there are some out there. Like I guess Jaden Brayley, maybe not so much, but yeah, you can take those like higher upside risks on those guys who have the high upside, that you can hope, like if you need to, you can play them and hope they can score well, as opposed to like a King Tonga who his ceiling's probably about the 45 mark if you're super lucky. And yeah, you can spend a little bit more on those mid ranges, even though you don't view them as keepers, because yeah, like you'll have the extra money to afford them. And then you can avoid like your non-playing reserve cash downs. You can target the best scoring ones, like what's his name, Talon De Silva or Fletcher Hunt. He's not really a great one, but there'll be more that present themselves. Like if Tiago Martin gets that spot, you know they can probably score a 40 quite comfortably. Like they should do it 3-4 times by the end of the season. So yeah, you can afford to do that, and you don't really have to get a non-playing reserve because you're not going to be looping anyone. So yeah, that's when it would absolutely benefit you to have like the best ones available instead of a red dot that I did mention. The cons, you'll need excess trades for long-term injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, like you're not relying, you won't have, like you'll have the like mid-ranges and stuff like that, but you won't have a surefire keeper to come in every week if you get, I guess there could be short and long-term injuries. Like if someone's out, like this week with Cleary and Yeo out, you're going to have someone like a Tommy Turbo coming in their place, which, yeah, he could score well, but is not super reliable every single week. Whereas if your 18th man is Tallis Duncan when he's playing in the second row, then yeah, like you're comfortable playing him every week, knowing he's probably going to knock out a 40 minimum. Not when Wayne Bennett puts him at centre, but yeah, in general. Reserves will be weaker when you're covering for short-term injuries and buys. Yeah, I guess that's the same point there. I sort of tied them in. Weak and loop options with no reserve keeper and likely no non-playing reserves. So yeah, I think I mentioned that all in one there. And then not ideal if you have multiple keepers with buys remaining. So yeah, we touched on that up here. Yeah, that's a perfect example of when you wouldn't do this if you have at least one every week. 18 keepers, let's just scroll down a little bit more again. Blah, blah. So yeah, you have one keeper reserved to cover for your buy coverage, or I guess short-term injuries as well. And you can loop with a keeper every week. So someone like Drinkwater, I do view as a keeper, but I'm probably not comfortable playing him every week. Like if he's playing like if he's playing the Panthers or something like that, I probably don't want to play him, but I can quite comfortably play him as a loop option, even if he's playing second. Like if I have, who else do I have? Why can't I think off the top of my head? But let's say my second worst guy was Tedesco. Even if Tedesco played first, if he scored a 30, I'd be comfortable looping Drinkwater in, even not knowing what he's going to score, because yeah, like he has a shit game in him, but like he's still a keeper. Like he'll average out about 47, 48. So I'm more than happy to play him every week as a loop option, but I don't have to play him every week either. So it's like a perfect balance. The cons, you'll need to sacrifice 1 to 2 premium options for increased bench coverage. Yeah. So I think that makes sense. Like someone like me, I'm getting Crichton again over Preston because I can't afford all the premiums because I'm running more depth. So yeah, that should make sense. You'll likely want to run at least one non-playing reserve cash down to allow for that looping in like that scenario where you're going to have a keeper not playing every week. So rather than just having them riding your pine, you do want a non-playing reserve cash down available every week. So that's something I don't have that will ruin my team a little bit unless Ethan King is not 18th man every week, because I will have to choose who I don't play as a keeper unless I have someone on a bye. So someone like this week, I've got Payne Haas on a bye, so that's fine. But those weeks that I don't, so maybe that makes Hervey more valuable for me as well. That's something I have to think about. And then one gun will miss every week, even when you have a full squad. So yeah, even though you are looping, they could both come out and score a 55 because at the end of the day, they are keepers and you're going to miss out on that 55, whereas you might have lost 10 to 15 points by going an Angus Crichton over it, Jacob Preston. Like obviously that's a little bit of a brutal swing. They probably average out about 4 or 5 different, but yeah, like it's going to hurt you some weeks when your keeper who's not playing scores well and you just didn't have a choice in playing them or not. So yeah, that should make sense. And then for 19 keepers, so yeah, you can offset having a lack of trades by having keeper depth. So yeah, even though I'll have 5 trades left and I'm probably going to use 4 to 5 on injury coverage, I can avoid, like if it's a short-term injury or something like that, I'm happy for someone who's 900k just to not be playing because I have a second or a third, sorry, like an 18th or 19th man who are going to come in their place anyway and probably only lose 10 to 15 points, which isn't worth the trade, obviously. You can loop 2+ times a week. So assuming you have 2 non-playing reserves, you'll be able to at least have 2 loop options, but also if you can positionally loop them as well, then you could have, like each one could be a double loop. So you could effectively loop up to, actually, I guess you can't even do 3 because you'd have non-playing reserves. So let's just have that as 2. You can run a high risk, high reward keeper. So yeah, I mean, Drinkwater is sort of an example of this if you haven't got him already, because he's about 500k. But yeah, like someone like a Dylan Edwards who I would like, or an Adam Dewey who I already have, you can afford to have them in your team because they're not going to play every week. So most weeks they'll be your 18th or 19th man, but if they play early in the week, you can loop them, and then if they score a 70, then you're obviously going to play him over someone else. And yeah, someone else would miss out who has the potential to score that, but like you'd rather a high risk, high reward 18th or 19th man because you're not playing them every week. So yeah, like you want someone whose chances are they have the highest ceiling. So someone like, if Tommy Turbo, if I viewed him as a keeper, he'd be the perfect example because obviously he's had seasons where he averages close to 100. So yeah, like he's not that player anymore, but he could have a week or two where he does score 100 and is 450k. So that's exactly who you'd want. And Tommy Turbo isn't the best example because there's not a keeper, but the same sort of premise applies. And then you should gain plenty of ranks in the last 2 to 4 rounds, depending on injury cover. Because yeah, so many guys are going to be, like people will run out of trades so quickly. And if you have, like if we get chaos in like round 25, 26, and like 3 keepers go out that everyone has, like you'll only be down 1 player and maybe you can use a trade to get your 17th keeper in. But a lot of people are just going to be stuck playing 15, 16 that week, or maybe playing like a cash down who might score 15 or whatever. But yeah, you'll be way more set up for that because you'll have so many more keepers. So it sort of offsets whatever points you lose in the next couple of weeks by not being able to play every keeper. I think, yeah. So it's more of a long-term play, and come the end of the season when everyone's out of trades, you should fly up the ranks. Hopefully, ideal. In an ideal world, but yeah, you just never know what's going to hit with injuries. So, and then the cons, you'll likely want or need like both of your cash downs to be non-playing reserves, and yeah, definitely one which I don't have. Well, at this stage, I don't have, but yeah, ideally you want 2 to allow for maximum flexibility with your loop options. And then you're sacrificing multiple premiums for underpriced keepers. Yeah, again, we've touched on that with having 18 keepers as opposed to 17, but it's even more so in this. Then 2 guns will miss every week when you have a full squad. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory there. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. It wasn't as structured as I would have liked. I did sort of run out of time, but I wanted to get it out today. Hopefully that's for the best, but we'll see. Yeah, that's about all I've got for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed whatever that was. And yeah, we'll see probably tomorrow. yeah, I think tomorrow I'll get out another video going over my trade plans if I have more of a plan, but worst case on Thursday. But yeah, we'll see you then and enjoy the next couple of days. Bye.